Okay, so this video I'm going to talk about how to get migration cost for the kingdoms that if your guild is potentially thinking about moving kingdoms, this is way to get migration cost for your guild. So that way you don't have to check every single kingdom to see how many it costs for your high might. And of course, when you migrate, you want to migrate with the highest guy migrating in first, so the next guy it'll be a little bit cheaper. Unless the kingdom itself, your smaller guys, that's just one scroll, they can go ahead in time. But as far as like migration goes, you want your highest might to go, so it'll cost less for the next guy jumping. Okay, so from here, if you open up your LordsBot software, you go on to resource tab here, and you'll notice down here you see all sub tabs, and you want to go into migration cost and just simply click on migration cost. And what is the starting kingdom? We're just gonna go ahead and say 1, and then I'm gonna go, even though we have 1700 kingdoms or so, I'm just gonna go 1000, just because some of the guys within the guild, their accounts are old where they cannot migrate into anything beyond 1000 or so, or whatever may be fully open at this point. So I'm just going to say 1000. And what's the target might? This is where you want to put in your highest might. For example, I'm just going to put in 1.62 billion might as my top guy, to ensure that he has enough scrolls. So let's say he's only sitting on 50 scrolls, but it requires 65 or 90 scrolls for him to get there. It's worthless even looking at that kingdom, right? So let's say we have high might of 1.962 billion might guy. We're going to go ahead and put target might 1.962 to see how much it will cost that particular castle to migrate into these kingdoms. And once I press OK, then the software itself is going to check every single kingdom against 1.962 billion might, and you'll notice it starts to return. And right here it says kingdom 8 of 1000, so it's going to take some time, but it'll run through entire 1000 kingdoms and give you a scroll count. So for example, here kingdom 1 only requires 1 scroll for 1.962 billion might to get into, which probably means that it's probably a kingdom with a lot of high mights. And then you have to decide, is it worth taking my guild over there where there's a bunch of titans around? So it basically shows you that anybody who's unshielded, you're probably going to get rallied and get zeroed. So it's probably not a safe kingdom. But if we look at like kingdom 3, it requires 65 scrolls, which means that they're going to be second rank there, rank 2, because if you go to Hefbot, you can see how many scrolls it takes to migrate into, if depending on the rank that you are once you get there. So if you're the top rank guy, your 1.962 billion is the highest. Once you get there, it's going to cost you 90 scrolls to get there, right? And rank 2 will cost 65, rank 3 will cost 50, and so on, all the way up to rank 50. And rank 50 and below will cost you 1, which means this kingdom 1 requiring 1 scroll, 1.962 billion is not even top 50 in might. So once you do all of this, you can scroll down and show that how many scrolls it required to get to what specific kingdom. Like kingdom 18 requires 50 to get there, and it'll be rank 3, and so on. And this is how you pull the migration cost for your guild, so that way you don't have to go to every single kingdom. Think about going through 1,000 kingdoms to see how many scrolls it would cost. That would take like forever, and I don't think it's like feasible for somebody, and it's not fair to ask your top might to check 1,000 kingdoms to see where they can afford to go into, right? So if you use the LordsBot, you can actually get the scroll count, requirements to jump into that kingdom. Okay, and I hope that takes care of that portion as far as getting the migration cost for every single kingdom. Thanks.